Hi, and welcome to the very first parent podcast, the very first one that's ever been born. I've wanted to do this podcast for a really long time. It took me ages laboring over the name of it, the vibe, how I wanted it to roll. I had it very clear in my head of how I wanted it to be, and so to have it now come to fruition is so cool. So thanks so much for joining us for the very first one. My name's Rachel. I am an educator, author, coach, speaker, mum, wife, and mountaineer. And I'm super passionate about parenting, education, neuroscience, and helping kids and families reconnect with who they really are. At the moment, with my practice, I'm having lots and lots of families come through my doors where the parents are just like, what is going on with my kid? Like, I do not know what's all the tantrums about? What's all the meltdowns about? Why am I so dysregulated myself? What the hell is going on? And so I thought, why not make the very first podcast all about self-regulation? So strap on in and let's get started. So self-regulation actually takes a really long time for children to develop in their bodies, in their nervous systems, and in their brains. The part of their brain that actually helps them to regulate and formulate language to express themselves is found in the front of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is actually like the super mega CEO of the brain. It's like the composer or the orchestra conductor. Like, it's a really big deal. And because it's so intricate and so detailed and so responsible for so many things, it's actually the last part of our brains to develop. And so in girls, normally that part of their brain is fully developed at around mid-20s. And for boys, it's a little bit later, around about 28, 29. If you've got children with neurodivergence, the latest research out now is saying that the prefrontal cortex in a neurodivergent brain is about 30% delayed. So you can add a little bit more extra time to that. So, kind of looking at around the early to mid-30s. Which is really cool and interesting and worth considering. When I'm teaching parents how to self-regulate with their children, we start with them first because often parents themselves have not been taught how to self-regulate, particularly if you're a vintage like me, kind of 50s, where you were just like, shut up and work it out. And you've been raised that way, then often you have not been shown how to do it. So I wanted to spend some time today showing you and talking you through the 4 steps that I teach all of my families how to teach their kids how to self-regulate. So if you can do these with yourself to start with, the best way to teach our kids how to self-regulate is co-regulation. So that means that they are watching you. You are modeling for them how it is that you self-regulate, and then they will do the same. So the number 1 step for self-regulation is actually knowing what the emotion is. It's actually knowing what actually am I feeling? And very often little kids, 3, 4, 5, 6, they know maybe 3 emotions: happy, sad, and angry. They might also know excited, but the side ones, embarrassed or humiliated, frustrated, overwhelmed, they might not know what those words are. They might have some understanding of what the feeling is, but they definitely need lots and lots of work on understanding what the emotion is. So spending a lot of time on naming those emotions and talking to kids how those emotions can show up in our body. And it's also really, really important to explain to our kids what actual emotion is. If we look at the word emotion, it actually means energy in motion. That's all it is. It's just energy. Totally cool. So if we have a look, for example, at the emotion of sad. Sad is a slow, blue emotion. The frequency is fairly slow, and it can take a long time to come through our body. When we're sad, we might want to do a whole pile of different things, and there's no right or wrong in terms of how we're going to feel the emotion. But some people like to sit with the emotion. Other people like to get the emotion out. Other people like to cry. Other people like to just go quiet. Other people like to not be around other people. Other people love to be around other people. So actually naming the emotion, talking about how it can show up in our body, talking about what we can do when we feel a particular way will go a really long way to help our kids. If we look at the emotion of angry, angry is quite a hot, fast, red emotion, and it tends to go through our body really, really quickly. I often tell kids that I liken anger to like a lightning bolt that's coming through your body. And if we think about a lightning bolt coming through your body, you do not want that to be hanging around for very long. You want that to be out of your body as fast as you can. Often I hear kids say to me, I feel really hot. I feel like I just want to punch something. I feel like I just, need to get it out. And they're absolutely right. They do need to get it out. So if you're a mum or a dad and you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I feel that way too, then 100% you need to get that angry out. So it's a really cool lesson or experience to actually sit down with our kids and explain to them, this is what happens when you feel angry. This could happen to you. You might be feeling this. Use yourself as an example and then hey, how do you feel? Do you feel X, Y, Z? So we can talk about all of the ways that our feelings show up in our body and actually name them. So yes, that's sad, or yes, that's embarrassed, or that's humiliated, or that's excited, and that's joyful, and that's trepidation, and that's worry, and that's scared. Like really delve into all of that language and all of the words and the feelings that will help our kids to actually say and understand and know what the emotion is. The next thing we need to do is actually show them what to do with those emotions. And it's really, really important to express to them, and I'm giving you permission as well for yourself if you need it, to just know that there is no wrong emotion. If it's just energy in motion, that's not wrong, yeah? So there's definitely conversations to be had around behavior with emotion, absolutely. But in terms of having an emotion, that is fine. That is normal. That is a human need that we all have. That is a neurobiological thing that's going to happen. We will have emotion. So we can go through the motions of, if I'm feeling angry, what can I do? And then go through them. So what's acceptable, what's not acceptable? Okay, so you can punch your pillow, you can slam your door, you can kick your bed, you can scream out loud, you can go and jump on the tramp, you can go ride your bike, you can jump up and down, you can, whatever you need to do. Here's what you can't do. You can't hit mum or dad, you can't hit your brother or sister, you can't kick the cat. And then just practice. If you're sad, that's totally cool. It's really normal to be sad. Of course you're going to be sad. This is what you can do. You can watch a movie, you can stay in bed, you can hop out of bed, you can watch your friends go do something together, you can watch them go and play, you could be alone, you can hang with me, you can hold my hand. Interestingly too, that emotions serve a purpose with our body as well. If we think about the three major emotions that little kids experience quite often, and big people also experience quite often as the root cause and then the extension out of other emotions. But if we think about anger, the actual process of anger is to have us protect ourselves or stand up for ourselves. So the emotion normally preceding anger is hurt. So something happens, it hurts us, and then we react. And often it's with anger. So that's us standing up for ourselves. And that's really cool to tell kids that that's what it actually is. The second one, sadness, that's actually to keep us connected to other people. And interestingly, on sadness, I really love this idea that our tears, when we're sad, actually roll down our face slower than tears of happy or excitement or fear. And the reason that is that they are flowing down our face more slowly. So it gives other people time to chime in and go, oh, you don't look okay, you look quite sad, do you need some help? So it's actually a parasympathetic, physiological, really cool thing to build connection with other people. So I totally love that. And then if we look at fear is to protect us, yeah? If we are getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger, we are not hanging around to have a chat with that thing. We are And then adrenaline, we're out of there. We're running as fast as we can. So we're protecting ourselves. So like emotions serve a purpose. They are here for a reason. They are here to guide us and keep us safe. And so knowing what the emotions are and then knowing how to show the emotions, that's actually like great education. And it will require a lot of practice. But I think if we take the stigma away from right or wrong, good or bad, and just it is what it is, definitely impose what's acceptable and not acceptable for me or the family or you in terms of how you react with those emotions. But that's actually going to go a really massive way in helping with self-regulation. The next step in the process is actually teaching our kids and ourselves the ability to sit with the uncomfortable or to sit with the negative emotion. And just to know what to do when we're in that space. And then from there, know how to calm down from that. So let's pretend that little Lucy has had an angry outburst. She has gone and punched her pillow. She's really angry. She's annoyed. She can't get the thing she wants or whatever. She's punched her pillow. Then she's burst into tears. Then she's taken a couple of big deep breaths. And then she might be ready to have a chat, or she might be ready to offload, or she might be ready to discuss, or she might just need some time. But in that time, we actually need to be able to sit with her in that. And that's when your child is calmer, that's when we can, talk about and validate the emotion and maybe have a chat about the behavior. So, for example, with the Lucy, I can see that you were angry about the whatever. I can see how that would have made you angry. Absolutely. I really loved the way that you came in and punched your pillow. Like, awesome. That's really cool. You got the angry out. That's amazing. Are you ready to just be with it now? Are you ready to take some big deep breaths? Do you want to talk about anything? Do you need me to know anything? Okay, cool. And so we're just allowing that space of no judgment to just sit with it and be cool. And then after that, then we've got permission to just move on, which is the fourth step. It's just move on. We just move on and we don't discuss again. At this point in the game, in the process, we do not need to call on anyone to apologize, especially young kids. If we're teaching them how to emotionally regulate and calm their parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, and we're wanting them to just feel the feelings, deal with it appropriately, and then calm, the last thing we need to do is make them apologize for having the feeling. So we just need to, whatever. If they have in their behavior, if they have like lashed out and hurt somebody, instead of asking for an apology, because I don't know if you remember when you were a kid and like someone says, you need to say sorry to such and such and you're not sorry and you're like, oh, sorry about that, but you don't actually give a shit. It's pointless. Yeah. So we're going like, for what purpose would you ask the child to apologize? You can definitely say, hey, you lashing out at such and such would have actually really hurt them and they might be able to take it on. But if they're really little, they will have no concept of hurting another person or understanding the kind of depth to their behavior at that point. We're just trying to focus on them to get kind of back into what it is that we're wanting them to know. So if they can just move on without any kind of reciprocity or wait till I tell dad or, whatever we used to get told, if we can just move on and let bygones be bygones until next time. And if you've seen any positives or any learnings, you can see that your kids are actually picking up what you're trying to teach them, then we're going to catch more flies with honey if we can reiterate and validate in a really positive way all the things we saw. So, hey, I saw that you were really angry. I'd be angry too. I loved the way you made the choice to just go and let off steam in a really cool way. And I loved when you were finished, you came out and had a chat with me. Like, that's so cool. I can't wait to see what you do next time. So it's that validation and it's the kids taking ownership, developing autonomy and building the trust in themselves that they're not out of control, that they don't know what to do and that they're okay. So just to recap, the 4 steps are knowing the emotion, showing the emotion, sitting with the emotion, and then getting over the emotion. And if you, as a parent, can practice those 4 steps yourself over and over and over and over and over and over again, so that your children are watching you do that and you can co-regulate with them doing that, that's also going to add like times 1,000% on the ability to just completely nail this self-regulation. Parenting is one of the toughest gigs on the planet. It is not easy by a long shot. It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's so, so worth it. And you are an amazing human. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Stay rad.